20 years ago, this game terrified me. So I decided to revisit it.
Let me get this.
You have one new message.
1 hour later.
End of messages.
Alright. What do you need? Hey!
And so our story begins again.
Hey, you. Finally awake.
There are a lot of things to talk about when we talk about this series. For one, F.E.A.R is the only game I could think of that allows you to be both the action superstar you always wished you were, while also being the little scared wimp you know you are when a 9-year-old jump scares you. But F.E.A.R is so much more to me than just a random horror game. It's an experience. It's a memory. Let's not waste any more time and let's just jump straight into F.E.A.R. In F.E.A.R, you play as, the new guy? Point Man? Actually, they don't really say. In fact, you don't say anything at all. Your character never speaks, and they never call you anything except for new guy or point man.
Putting him in the field? Are you crazy? He just transferred in a week ago.
Anyways, you work for this special government agency known as F.E.A.R. F.E.A.R, also known as First Encounter Assault Recon, is explained in the first part of the game. Basically, this agency is designed to handle paranormal and psychological threats. You ever see those ghost hunter movies where like the main character doesn't actually have experience with like a real ghost, but then they go somewhere particular and like everything goes to shit? Yeah, that's basically F.E.A.R. The opening cutscene basically shows us some creepy things and we get our first glimpse into the villains of this story. Look here at this little girl. I'm sure if you know just 1% of this game, what you know is about her. She's basically the icon of the series. All of the games are about her. However, the first game has less of a direct focus on her, and we are mostly just fighting this weirdo right here. So this is Paxton Fettel. Fettel is a psychological war machine that was made by this company known as Armacam Technology Corporation, or ATC. He has psychic powers and has gone rogue and now controls this clone army psychologically, and the clone army is known as replicas. Yeah, science typically says don't do that. Anyways, I'm not too sure about this, but I believe whoever wrote this story rightfully assumed that normal humans would never decide to follow this freak. I mean, look at this dude. Yeah, buddy, that's an HR violation right there. So, we got a 9-year-old to free a psychic cannibal commander from prison, and now he's going on a rampage, and there are just no failsafes? Actually, that's a lie. Interestingly enough, we know Fettel's location because they did have one failsafe, which was to put a tracker in his head. But I mean, like, the dude can control an army and is known to be in a fragile mental state. Doesn't it make sense to put more than a tracker? Like, I don't know, 100 kg of TNT? The game is broken into intervals, though sometimes the intervals have individual chapters inside. Not really sure why, it's a little strange, but I think it's because some intervals kinda drag on a little bit, so it's to break up the pacing maybe? So we arrive in our first mission, not in a special van or government-sponsored vehicle. We arrive in our co-worker's Prius.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, the budget was a little tight for F.E.A.R, huh? Maybe this company is a joke. Interval 1 does something interesting. There are no bad guys. I mean, there is the cannibal freak Paxton, but you don't have to shoot anything. Instead, Interval 1 is entirely a horror segment and a bit of a tutorial. So, picture this. You walk down a dark alley. You are alone. You break some boards to get into the back lot. You walk through the door slowly. You have a pistol. You're not scared of a cannibal or of a 9-year-old girl. A sound. It's a rat. The rat runs away, perhaps an omen of what is to come. You walk through the maze-like corridor. You reach another door. You open it. It falls off its hinges and slams on the floor, startling you. Suddenly, glass breaks. You're terrified, petrified. You rapidly close the game and turn off your Xbox 360. Or at least you would if you were 10, because that was my experience with F.E.A.R. See, I saw F.E.A.R originally right before Christmas in 2006. I saw it alongside an ad for the Xbox 360, and being a kid who wanted a shiny new Xbox 360, I said to my mom, "Wow, I really want that." Naturally, my mom, being kind and knowing Christmas is coming, went to the store and bought F.E.A.R and an Xbox 360. Now, was F.E.A.R appropriate for a kid? I don't know, but I was pretty stoked. However, there was just one problem. I was a big scaredy cat as a kid. I couldn't sleep without a nightlight. I couldn't look at a doll without existential dread.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
Anyways, I got excited from my 360 to only find out that F.E.A.R is much more terrifying than I thought, so I couldn't play it. The introduction scared me so bad that I turned off the console. Not once, but twice. See, the first part where the door falls off the hinges? Yeah, that scared me. Caused me to quit and likely play older games on my old Xbox, not the 360. But the glass breaking? I was done for. Because of this, I only played challenge modes. Interestingly enough, I can't find the challenge modes anywhere on the PC version that I own, so I don't know, did I hallucinate that? But I could have swore there's a challenge mode where you just like fought off waves of enemies. I don't know, maybe I'm hallucinating. Enough about my trauma, let's just go back to the story. After you entered the building, the glass break was simply from your teammate, Jankowski, who wants to rendezvous and search the building for F.E.A.R. Some creepy stuff happens, lots of whispering, and this is where I want to stop and bring up something. I thought the horror of this game wouldn't hold up, and yeah, it kinda doesn't. I mean, like, by today's standards, this game isn't really scary. It has a lot of loud moments or shocking moments, but for the most part, nearly every scare or startling moment is kinda prefaced with this static or sound effects. Even Alma likes to scare you by saying, sometimes. Now, but what I strangely do think holds up is the ambient sounds. I don't know if it's a soundtrack or specifically like how the audio sounds, but for some reason the game feels very creepy. Like, when you're in an empty hallway and just walking around, you feel like you could get scared at any moment, despite kind of knowing that nothing's going to happen.
Try to find a way around.
When you're walking down a hallway with nobody nearby, it's like you're waiting for the next encounter. However, you know it's not here yet. Interestingly, the game has some kind of wonky physics engine too, so occasionally items bounce or move around, and in a way you can kind of get jump scared by this too. So this was clearly not intentional, and I'm not too sure. This could be some kind of quirk with the game being on modern PCs and the physics engine not being able to handle it or something like that. I'm not too sure. To sum it up though, the horror is kind of dated, but the ambiance is kind of incredible still. So as you move on, you walk through the building and encounter the scariest thing, linear pathing. Yeah, this game has massive buildings, but like most of them are so linear. It's kind of funny to me though, because like all of them are blocked by a shelf or a box. Like, who the hell is moving these boxes? You meet up with your teammates and bust in a door to go after him FBI style, but when you bust in, your teammate gets snapped out of existence and you have to walk through a hellish nightmare, in which F.E.A.R taunts you as a psychic ghost. When you come back to reality, you are greeted with a jump scare of a dead Armacam employee. Yeah, he's been cannibalized. That's another HR violation. This sequence definitely did something strange, and it's something that only happens a few times in this game as far as I can remember. It flashes you an image of this dead man, and I don't know why, but these jump scares are super iconic for me. After this, they send you, the point man, to take point. Yeah, you go look for F.E.A.R while he waits for our teammate Jin. And this plan is kind of bad. I mean, I get waiting, but this dude is extremely dangerous and has to be captured ASAP, so like, why not go together? You go up to the roof and we get our first view of the city, and this is 2000s coded beyond belief. I cannot explain it, but this feels so iconic. Maybe it's the brick texturing, maybe it's the old abandoned Detroit looking city, but it's interesting. Anyways, ominous birds, and we round the corner too. He villain monologues about how his memories are either the guy he ate or hers, and you don't really totally understand much yet. I mean, you could put it together a little bit, but you don't get it. And we go up to meet our team and just GTFO for this mission. And I just want to say, like, why the hell is nobody questioning why we don't talk? I mean, like, if I got knocked out by the guy we were chasing, he monologued and dipped, I'd be like, yo, that's crazy. You won't believe what just happened. But our dude never says anything, and nobody ever questions us. Nobody even says like, yo, did you see him on the roof or anything? They're just basically like, Alright, let's go. Interestingly enough, you can actually catch Jankowski talking shit about you and saying that you're a bit weird. But, like, that's it. That's the only comment. And I know a lot of games have, like, a silent protagonist, but I just find it strange.
I don't know. Something about him just feels off.
So as we decide to leave and head on to the next location, we are debriefed by a Delta Force operator known as Holiday. Holiday is basically our comic relief later in the game, so, Now we are joined by Delta Force because the replica soldiers are involved, and, like, it's actually kind of dangerous. But, like, all of Delta Force is literally making fun of you. They're like, oh, you're from F.E.A.R, Lamau?
You're on point. See if you can get this gate open. I'd send one of my boys, but I think we need a specialist for this one.
And just like the little bitch you are, you go around and open up the gate, and you see the first sign of something wrong. A dead body. When you open the gate, you go back, and then you hear gunshots. When you arrive, you see nothing but corpses and get flashbacks to what happened. Absolutely destroyed by this 9-year-old. Our new objective basically becomes try to meet up with Jankowski's team because he also deployed with a different Delta Force squad, and let's go try to get Fettel. So things have clearly gone wrong as we enter the building. As we enter the building, we can see that workers in this warehouse are dead and actively being killed by the replica soldiers. It's time we talk about the combat of F.E.A.R. While Interval 1 was focused on horror, Interval 2 is our first taste of actual combat. Combat in this game is quite unique. It's rather fast-paced, and on higher difficulties you will get killed quite quickly. When you first play the game, the only way it feels possible to kill anyone is with this slow motion. Basically, remember how the game makes you feel like an action star? Well, that's because it's slow-mo. Basically, you enter slow-mo and you're suddenly Neo and dodging bullets, dropping enemies, hitting sick headshots. However, when the slow-mo ends, enemies are quite difficult and rather fast. Something we need to talk about, but I don't want to delve too deep into, is the Goal-Oriented Action Planning System, or GOAP, that F.E.A.R has implemented. Basically, this system assigns goals to the AI, with the highest priority goal basically being kill the player. However, based on the threat level that the player gives the AI, it kind of could, like, change the goal from kill the player to retreat and find teammates. And oftentimes you can actually see this in the game. When you, like, pop your slow-mo around the corner, kill an enemy or two, you can literally watch them in real time all react and start running away. That's because their goal has now changed from kill the player to regroup with their teammates. And similarly, they will use these kind of goals to work together. They all have their own individual goal, but they can also understand each other's goals, so it's quite amazing. If you ever hear somebody talk about this game and the AI, you will know that it's quite amazing for its time and honestly quite unique. This game is now 20 years old, and the AI does feel pretty standard now. I mean, like, compared to modern games that are, like, heavily scripted, it still feels a bit unique. However, you could definitely see examples of AI that is just as smart, if not smarter, in a lot of modern games. But at the time, it feels amazing, and because of the layout of the map and each individual level, it feels like we lost something special with this game. I mean, like, AI is amazing nowadays, but, like, there's something special about F.E.A.R and specifically how this AI plays in this game. So in short, what I want to say is that the AI in the combat holds up very well, and it's actually something that you can still go into today with a lot of fun. I heard originally that F.E.A.R wasn't going to be a horror game, it was going to be more of a combat action shooter, and this kind of shows that that's true. So anyways, back to this chapter. We blast our way through replica soldiers, getting familiar with the combat, then we find remains of Jankowski's team and a ghostly image of him wandering the halls. Yeah, it doesn't look too good for Jankowski, huh? Shouldn't have talked shit about me, you little... Anyways, we jump down into this hallway, which ends the mission with Alma blasting explosions and forcing us out of the building. This is like a scene from an action movie where you're, like, straight up flying out of a window, backwards, shooting, like, 360, no-scoping, I don't even know. We wake up in Interval 3 with Jin and some Delta Force operators. Surprise, we're alive. I'm not talking shit about Jin because I think she's more of a forensic scientist than a soldier. Like, it's kind of funny that she never actually engages in combat and she's like basically doing nothing ever for us. F.E.A.R has a pretty interesting story, but sometimes it feels like the characters are kind of just like set pieces. They're basically limited to a bunch of lines. You don't really learn anyone's backstory and you don't really hear anything interesting from them. They kind of just find out the story with you and kind of like help you guide along. But there's no actually interesting character developments, and you don't really feel too personally attached to either of them. Oh yeah, I said either of them because Jankowski is like, But from the man in the chair, that's what we need to do right now, is we need to go look for Jankowski, because his life signs are still there.
Jess, keep looking for Jankowski. I'm still reading his life signs.
You can't send him in alone, that's crazy.
He can take care of himself. Now move.
We already saw, like, this man, this man is not looking too good. It's interesting to note that the guy in the chair is a character we hear from rather often, but we don't really see him outside of the first mission. He sometimes reacts to things and sometimes doesn't. I'm not sure if this is meant to say that he sees things that we do or like hacks into their cameras. I'm not really sure, but it seems like he knows that all of Delta Force died, but he doesn't seem to know what happened. It's strange because like we're not telling him things, but like he also knows that they died. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not sure if we're supposed to be a character that actually is talking secretly, because like in F.E.A.R 3, a little spoiler here, but like we clearly aren't talking. But like he knows a lot of things. Like, how does this man know that Delta Force died if we're not talking? I mean, I guess he could just be like, hey, they're not responding to comms, but like he would assume we died too then, right? I mean, I guess he has Jankowski's life signs, so he has ours. Does he have the Delta Force operatives too? I mean, like, let's be real, that's probably not true, right? Anyways, I found this old PC games trailer for F.E.A.R, and apparently you're supposed to take that man's Prius with Jankowski and drive into a heli at some point. Honestly, kind of funny, and I wish that was somewhere in the game just because that's hilarious. Anyways, we work through a bit of this like water treatment plant, and at some point we climb down some ladders into a tunnel, and we get another spooky moment. Like I said earlier, it's kind of expected because you get like a little bit of static before your jump scares. On one hand, I love the choice of the static before anything happens. On the other hand, it's so predictable. Like, once you're familiar with it, you kind of just brace yourself for whatever shenanigan Alma's about to pull. You start blasting away at more replica soldiers, and you find out that Armacam has an interest in covering up their chemicals that they've somehow been dumping into this water. It's probably why the city is basically abandoned to begin with, and I mean, this is kind of confirmed later. But basically, this corporation sucks and contaminated the waters. And I think it's also implied that they're basically paying the higher-ups in the city to just ignore it. So we move our way through and get flashbacks with a hospital room and screaming, and a skeleton jump scares us with a hug. I hate hugs. And we push through. I believe not many people were paying attention to the story too deeply at this point, but basically what you may assume on a first playthrough is that like F.E.A.R has gone rogue, and at the same time they're trying to cover something up. But if you're observant and you pick up details, you'll basically be able to gather the whole story within like the first 2 to 3 intervals of the game. I mean, like, because of flashbacks and F.E.A.R's voice lines that are randomly strewn about, it'll basically tell you that he wants revenge to some degree. And if you start to think about things and how he words things and the 9-year-old, you start to put it all together. Anyways, inside we get a spooky Jankowski jump scare.
She's afraid.
Side note, I really love this one because it's kind of subtle. And then a bit later we get a more serious horror setting for this interval. We get the best jump scare in the whole game. See, this jump scare was super iconic for the time, and actually if you go to YouTube and like the comments, you'll see people all have nostalgia for this jump scare. It was iconic. First, it's important to know that every time you mantle onto a ladder, your camera is kind of forced forward, and everyone kind of has expected there would be a jump scare on the ladder at some point. So finally it happens, and it does scare you a bit. However, what nobody expected was the second jump scare. As soon as you get to the bottom of this ladder, bam, F.E.A.R's right there, and that gets you hard. Now again, by today's standards, this is not really scary. It's at most creepy, but sometimes even funny. We get some info like on Alma or Project Origin. Hey, that's the name of the next game. Then we also get another scene with Fettel's newest victim, and yeah, if it's not obvious by now, the cannibalism isn't just a fun thing he does. It seems like when he eats people, he kind of gains their knowledge. Like he somehow absorbs their souls, but also their memories. That makes him an unstoppable machine in terms of intel gathering, and that's kind of crazy. It's at this time that the other characters learn a little bit about Alma, and nobody really knows what she is or really what they're talking about. It's kind of just seeds for later. So working our way through the compound, replica soldiers are withdrawing because Fettel got the information he wanted. And now Delta Force is a bit hesitant to send in more troops because they don't know what they're dealing with, and they're kind of scared that they're going to lose more troops. We tell them that everything is controlled by Fettel, and if we kill Fettel, that everything will stop. So we decide to evac by helicopter after hearing that Fettel is leaving and we could catch a glimpse of him on the way out. By the way, I tried to cheat and kill him for fun, but I couldn't get him. We enter the heli for the second time, and this is where you really start to see the helicopter shine in this game. See, look at this beautiful scene. Yeah, that's right. Cruising down the street in my 6'4". So as we ride the helicopter, we're with Delta Force, and man, does it feel good to finally get some backup. We were riding to Armacam Technology offices, and that's a little bit ominous. Why is the chapter called The LZ is Hot? Oh yeah, this is certainly one of those games where you basically never have teammates. So if you see anyone near you, they're either dying, not staying long, or they're sending you alone somewhere. Fighting our way through the outside, we make it inside to the ATC building finally, and it's just it's spooky. Actually, this is the scariest part of the game in my opinion. It's something about the environment in this part that's super creepy. I mean, like, it literally feels like an office that got shot up and destroyed, and it's like, it's kind of disturbing in a weird way. Like, you strangely feel like it's something that could happen in real life, and it's absolutely terrifying. Weirdly enough, this game doesn't really feature any police. I mean, like, you don't hear sirens or anything, which, I mean, I guess kind of adds to the horror a little bit in a strange way, because you don't really, like, feel like somebody is coming to help you. But I mean, like, on another note, you kind of think that you would hear them. Sometimes you could catch, like, radio broadcast or something where they're saying, like, the police have quarantined off places and stuff, but I find it interesting that you're not hearing more about, like, backup or what's going on. You are the backup, except you're not only the backup, you're also the point man and the front man and the superhero. So as you work through the building, there's some tiles falling off the ceiling, some creepy moments, and what looks to be like a strange invisible ghost moving through the building. And after a moment, you get the first thing that legitimately made me jump when I replayed this. See, I said the horror doesn't hold up, and that's mostly because of the static, and like a lot of jump scares are kind of expected. Like, you know a lot of things are going to happen, so it's not really that scary. I mean, you can definitely feel a bit creeped out by the ambience and a little bit, like, uncomfortable as you're playing the game. However, this is the one exception that legitimately made me jump a little bit.
To the area except for emergency personnel. We've been unable to confirm.
Observant viewers may have saw that there's a person there. Yeah, that's a new enemy. These guys are a little different from other Armacam projects. They're like invisible assassins. We learned a bit later that they're basically genetically modified to kick ass and go invisible. They're also likely who is killing basically every person in this office, since we don't really see bullet holes anywhere. So essentially you're fighting ninjas, and after fighting ninjas a bit and kicking their ass through the facility, we finally make it to our next important character, Norton Mapes. See, he's kind of comic relief at this point in the game, and even the soundtrack changes when you see him to something kind of comical. But he's an engineer that has survived thus far and needs help to reboot the system. You don't really ask questions because, like, you kind of also want to reboot the system. But you help him and he disappears. This guy is the bomb. No, literally, he's like strapped with bombs. Basically, he wants to spill all the secrets, so we need to extract and interrogate him because we need to know what the hell is going on. We go to pick up Holiday, and in a prolonged fight scene, we bring Holiday back, and the fire alarm goes off with some, you guessed it, static. It's pretty obvious by now, static means paranormal. But we head off on our own, and sure enough, everything is... Oh. It's a little sweet that she wants a hug, right? So she trapped us here purposely to separate us, and we have to rendezvous with the team. Of course we couldn't have teammates, you know, for any combat scene anywhere. Yeah, the team is leaving with Bishop, and basically ATC security actually starts firing on them, and on you also. Yeah, the replica soldiers have clearly been shooting and fighting us, but like now ATC turns on us too. It's very clear that they're targeting Bishop, and actually they're kind of excited. They're like, yeah, we hit Bishop. But like, here's the funny thing to me. Aren't you just screwed? I mean, you literally attacked Delta Force operatives. Like, even if your boss said, hey, I'll pay each of you guys $1 million extra to kill any ATC employee and to defend our secrets, wouldn't shooting at Delta Force be like a death sentence? I mean, like, after this blows over, wouldn't you like go to court and they'd be like, yeah, you gotta go to jail, man, you literally shot Delta Force. Like, what? In the next interval, Norton shows us that he is more than just an antivirus. He starts locking down the facility and throwing up turrets everywhere. This part of the game is kind of the worst, in my opinion. It barely has any horror, and the action is mostly just running from turrets or hiding or finding different paths. You do get a cool moment where you get to use a turret to just kill a bunch of soldiers, but like, it's just alright. We also run into F.E.A.R again at some point, and he mentions we can't stop what's going on. He explains that something big is coming, and no matter what, we can't stop it if we want to. He tells us that he envisions a future with cities turned to dust and things destroyed. I don't know, but clearly we gotta stop him. In the next interval, our objective becomes to secure Alice Wade, Harlan Wade's daughter. I didn't really mention much about him, but Harlan Wade is like the lead scientist about like all of these programs that you're learning about, and his daughter kind of knows a lot and is basically like a whistleblower at this point. And what's that? Oh, it's F.E.A.R on the cameras. This jump scare is kind of creepy, but also super cheesy. I mean, honestly, I love it. It's very like, I don't know, 2000s? Japanese? I don't know, wasn't there like a Grudge movie or something where this like same effect happened? Like they looked at like a security camera in a hospital and the ghost like slowly rises up? It might have been the American remake or the Japanese version. Honestly, I don't remember. If somebody knows, please, like, let me know. So we fight through a literal army of replicas and make it to Alice, who is worried about her father. She wants to leave immediately and go try to save him, though I'm pretty sure, like, half the plot was that she's gonna be a whistleblower, so, like, I don't know. But whatever, she still wants to save him and help him, but, like, she's absolutely terrified to get into the helicopter.
You mean a helicopter? Can we drive instead? My car's downstairs in the parking garage. Kind of? Yeah, right.
And, like, I mean, come on. I told you helicopters are kind of cool, right? She basically says that her father is in an underground facility that's hidden, and she's going to drive there to get him. And we're like, nah, you gotta ride this heli. And she's like, I don't want to. She's like, no, absolutely not. But I'm sitting here thinking like, yo, other than all the soldiers that just like got absolutely obliterated in the heli, what's wrong with it? Anyways, we escort her to the elevator and you get one of the funniest and most interesting sequences in the whole game. Basically, you ride this elevator with like elevator music and every floor stops and you have to just kill some replica soldiers. And in the meantime, you just get to sit there and make some small talk with her. So, you wanna be friends on MySpace? Could put you in my top 8. The elevator stops on an eerie floor, and you already know Alma's gonna be up to some ghost shit. We see Alma creeping towards her in the elevator, and we are forced on our own way. There's this kind of funny moment where you creep up behind some replica soldiers, and they're all just like waiting at the door. I don't know, it's not really like touched upon, and it's not that funny, but it's like, it's kind of comical in a weird way. You meet back up with Alice, and she's going to ride the heli with us, but suddenly the helicopter gets shot down. Yo, wait a minute, maybe she's right, these things are dangerous. But I have to touch on something. Why do we just get like a Black Hawk helicopter and replica soldiers get like an Apache gunship? I mean, like, that's crazy. So Alice runs to her car instead because she wants to go save her dad, and we fight our way through the facility to get there as well. It's important to note that there's a lot of phone calls and like random things you could find here that'll help you with the lore. Harlan and someone named Genevieve, who I haven't really talked about, are essentially fighting. See, there's a lot of like actual full information that's thrown around the missions, and it's a bit overwhelming the first time you play, but I'll kind of summarize it real quick. Essentially what we know is Harlan Wade is the lead scientist for some projects, presumably responsible for a lot of this chaos and mess, but we don't know too much. We know that Alma was involved in Armacam experiments somehow, but we aren't quite sure how. Genevieve, we don't really know much about either, but we do know she's kind of like the CEO of Armacam currently, and that restart kind of caused a whole team to die. And afterwards, they kind of shut down the whole thing, and this has kind of led Harlan to despise her and be super angry at her. Now, back to the story. Alice gets away and drives away, and we make it to the helicopter where we're gonna fly and catch after her. So we get to interval 8, and yeah, it crashed. It crashes a lot. Actually, before writing my script, I beat this game, and I had no problem, and it didn't crash at all. However, after writing my script and going back to record a lot of things, I could not get interval 8 to run for my life. However, luckily, there's not much to really talk about with interval 8, except for the fact that the helicopter crashed again. Yeah, this helicopter crashed one more time. But interval 8 is all about just like fighting your way through some apartments, and when you're done, you get down to the facility. We blast through the streets, work our way through the compound, and as we make it to the underground complex, it is chaos. Replica forces, Federals, are inside, and ATC forces are also inside. Harlan Wade and his daughter are somewhere inside, and Norton? This guy also got inside? I hate this man! But Harlan actually tells us in this moment that Genevieve is actually the one destroying the data, and we kind of learn that she's actually the bad one, and Harlan is trying to do something right, but we're not really sure what he's trying to do. Harlan is basically telling Norton to stop working with her and to like be on the right side of history here. So sometime around here we learn that Fedel and Alma have some kind of psychic connection, and Alma was basically causing him to go insane, and he would actually have fits where he murdered people like often. And they ended up pulling the plug on Origin because of this. We learned that Origin is relating to these two somehow, but we don't really know how. We catch Harlan shooting Norton outside of this vault and then going in, and this is our only chance to stop him and go in. Though we aren't entirely sure of his motivation yet, we decide to chase after him. Through some computers and dialogue from our man in the chair, we start to learn more. Fedel's goal is to get to Alma, who we have now learned is Project Origin. He's trying to help her. If you listen to anything Fedel said throughout the game, you could kind of see this coming from like a mile away. I mean, in multiple villain monologues, he basically says this. So we have to divert power to the door, open it up, chase after Harlan, and we also learned that Alma was only 8 when this happened. Wait, 8? I kept saying 9. God damn it. Well, 9 sounds funnier anyways. So after diverting power to the doors, we go into the vault. On the way there, we see a ghost of Alice and Fedel, and this basically confirms she's dead because we've only actually seen ghosts of dead people throughout the game. Just want to throw that out there. So, Norton Mapes tells us that we have to blow up the facility because if we don't, he's going to let her out. And Mapes sounds worried that if he lets Alma out, bad things will happen. Wait, she's been in here the whole time? And also she's an 8-year-old? Yo, I'm still mad about this. But they shut down the project a long time ago. Shouldn't she have starved to death? Like, that's where your brain should be going, right? Like, they shut down this project ages ago, but she's still here and we need to let her out? Like, she's literally in a vault and they're not even coming to this facility. Like, what? So we go down to the vault into the final interval aptly titled Revelation. It's time to learn everything and see how this ends. We find Fedel feeding on Alice, and he brings us into some fire world. That's a little weird. He villain monologues again, but brings up some interesting details. We don't know anything. We don't know our name, where we were born, our history. Fedel drops a bomb on us. He tells us we were born from the same mother. He says we are brothers. We are sons of Alma. Fedel says he will set her free, and we see him in his prison cell from the beginning. Shooting him this time actually, legitimately kills him. He drops dead. Like, he literally just drops dead in front of us. Moving past him, we can actually see the replica soldiers did just basically turn off. So, like, actually as predicted. He's legitimately dead. Did we succeed? Did we just win? We get a video of Harlan talking about Alma and realize that she was telepathic and they kept her in these chambers and also impregnated her. She had her first child at 15. Science says don't, please, please don't. Moving forward, we catch Harlan about to open the chamber for her. He said that they pulled the plug 6 days later, so she's been dead. I guess at this point we are just hoping her spirit moves on. Upon opening the door, Harlan is instantly skeletonized. Then we see Alma. She transforms between child and adult. Her adult form looking malnourished and skeletal almost. We chase after her and she leaves the facility. On the way out, we are like fighting a bunch of actual ghosts for some reason. We fight our way out of the facility and try to make it through the last part of this game, fighting through the industrial area. We get attacked by the ghost a bunch more, and there's some flashbacks. Now we kind of understand that adult Alma is trying to attack us? Or maybe hug us. Actually, this is where we really learn that we are the first child. We learn that all these flashbacks are actually about us. They are our past. They're not necessarily visions of Alma like you may have guessed, but we learn that we are F.E.A.R's brother and we are Alma's son. We are the first failed prototype from Origin. We are also Harlan's grandson. In this moment, you learn everything about the game. You finally understand that you are a experiment, just like F.E.A.R. Though it's not exactly clear why you got out, how you joined F.E.A.R, or anything like that, it's kind of implied that your slow motion is part of the effects. Like you've obtained this kind of superpower because of Alma. And strangely enough, this entire game is just one massive family reunion. The game finishes off with an epilogue. A huge explosion from the facility basically looks like a nuke went off. Somehow, Holiday and Jin found us, and we are alive. Yeah, they're a bit surprised at how we live too, and it might be something to do with the superpowers. But anyways, we finally get into our helicopter and... Wait. Helicopters aren't safe. No, helicopters aren't... And that's F.E.A.R. They had multiple games, and we will go into them later. I actually never played the 2 expansion packs, which I kind of want to play them. Like, I have them downloaded, so, like, maybe I'll go play them. But F.E.A.R 2 and F.E.A.R 3 get absolutely crazy, and especially F.E.A.R 3. Oh god, F.E.A.R 3. So what do you think? Does F.E.A.R hold up? Honestly, if you ask me, I kind of enjoy it, and when I replayed it, it wasn't, like, amazing, but it was honestly quite entertaining. And I definitely wanted to keep playing it as I was going on, so yeah. I will say though that the game kind of runs bad on modern PCs, however it holds up quite well with gameplay, and only a few sections are kind of boring. The horror doesn't really hold up, but it is still eerie. Anyways, from its time, it's a masterpiece. So stay tuned if you want to see me cover more games like F.E.A.R or something else. Please subscribe if you are interested in this kind of content, and I'll catch you later.